Hey everyone out there, just hoping everyone's doing okay and being safe. Want to do a quick little review here of the ROCCAT Kone Aimo mouse right over here. You can see back here on the monitor, it's actually available in 3 different colors. I got my hands on the particular black color over here. Box is a little beat up, but it's what really is inside that counts. So I want to actually do a quick little unboxing over here and show you what this mouse is basically like. Before I go ahead and actually unbox this, just wanted to actually mention here real quick that it's not my first time actually getting my hands on a ROCCAT mouse over here. I actually do have the ROCCAT Kone XTD right over here, and I've actually had quite a few of these. I've used one here, used one for my second PC, one to take with me on the go with my laptop, even used one at work. And absolutely have loved this mouse since I got my hands on it, I believe, around 2013, 2014. I'll be honest, probably even further back than that. And definitely a great performer. This mouse actually had the unique option to actually be able to put some weights in here. You can actually take this off and you can actually see some little 5-gram weights, and I believe you can put up to 4 of them. And of course the little RGB colors, which one here, one here, one here, one here. In this case I just have them all set to blue. But you can definitely have a blend going from blue to green, or some other combinations you have controlled by the software itself. And here we have this particular mouse over here. My blue little mouse here is actually working just fine, but I'm actually just going to go ahead and possibly start using this one, depending what kind of options and benefits we have here, and hopefully nothing negative, obviously. Let's go ahead and open this up. I did go ahead and take off the little sticker, so it does look like this box has been opened before, but not necessarily taken out. So let's go ahead and take this out. Smaller packaging than the other mouse used to come in. Some instructions and whatnot. I don't know if they still include stickers or when they're with them. And here is the mouse itself, right over here. Actually feels like a real beauty. Actually just grabbing it with my hand, I already feel it really just conforming to my hand, and the options over here are just really ergonomic to some degree. I've already got my hands on a couple of these and given them out to family members. One of my sisters actually really benefited from this mouse, just really feeling a little annoyed at using just a regular shape mouse, and this actually, believe it or not, actually does work really well with her. Actually just playing with the clicks over here. This mouse does have also RGB options as well too, quite a few, and you can, I believe the roller here itself is also has a little light controllable. You can already see where the light will be coming out of here. I'm probably going to go ahead and plug this in and just give you a little look-see of what this mouse can do. Before I do that, some little details of this mouse itself back here. And obviously one big thing they mention over here, sorry if this box is obviously a little crunched, is the DPI. I believe this is about a good double from my former mouse over here. I believe this was actually 8,000 DPI, so this definitely has a much larger range of options for DPI options, whether you want to go my mouse to go a little slower or faster, depending. And of course they do have that option to switch really fast. I keep grabbing the wrong mouse there, between like DPIs, and I definitely have used that a couple of times in first person shooters, especially when I'm trying to go into sniping mode. So definitely a pretty cool option. And again, just take a look at some more options back here, some details they mention here. You can definitely look these up online as well too. And of course the wheel is another big plus that I absolutely enjoyed from this particular mouse, my old mouse, and will definitely be enjoying it with this one. Definitely drives me nuts when I'm using the wheel mouse and it's just acting really odd. And of course when you're scrolling down you get one little bit of up. That just drives me bonkers. So I just went ahead and plugged this mouse in, no software installed at this time, and you can already see the RGB color basically swinging through a lot of colors over here. Pretty nice. Very likely I'm just going to be using the bluish colored, some blend degree. You can actually see the colors actually blending a little bit as it's changing. I do believe the LED lights on this mouse actually does blend quite a little bit better, but enough about that. It's actually using this over here. Actually, I didn't take these off, so probably a good idea to remove those as well too. I'll do that in a moment. One little note, since I do have experience with this mouse already, that I can definitely tell you, the one thing I did like about the older version, the older ROCCAT, it's not an Aimo mouse, but the Kone mice, is when you actually do change the colors, even if you migrate this mouse to another computer, laptop, etc., it does keep the color that you actually picked or whatever combination in the little memory and stored somewhere here. This particular mouse, to my small disappointment, every time you actually plug this mouse in, it's actually going to be doing this big rotation of colors over here until the software picks it up and puts it to the color that you actually pre-selected. So if I move this mouse, basically set this mouse up to the blue colors I mentioned, and I move it to another computer, hook it up to my laptop, it will actually just be doing this until that particular computer system or laptop does give it the signal from the software which color to actually use. So little disappointment there. This is actually something that was just a little bit of an FYI in case you actually do move your mouse around, and of course, you know, turn the computer on, you'll realize it's going to be doing this. So it's a little bit of a drawback, but not a big deal. Really nice weight to the mouse so far. It feels a little bit lighter than my XTD, but mind you, I do have about 2 or 3 weights in here, so this mouse does weigh a good 20 or 30% more, at least it feels like. This mouse being a little bit lighter, but not light enough that if I were to actually start playing with the cable over here, you're going to see the mouse is not really moving unless I give it a good tug. And that's definitely really important when your wiring is actually, you know, sneaking around and whatnot, and you're trying to pull the mouse. You'll realize this is obviously a big issue when the mouse starts to move around, you know, kind of like this. Here we have the mouse on my mouse pad over here, and it feels actually really smooth and working pretty well. A lot of buttons on this mouse too, for sure. I absolutely love using the scroll, but it also does the option over here to, if you can actually hear, little left and right click over here that you can definitely customize yourself. These 2 buttons over here, and of course some buttons on the side here. I actually have not personally been a fan of buttons over here. You'll see my other mouse over here also has them as well too. Sorry if that's not focusing correctly. But you'll actually see they do have 2 buttons over here. So this mouse actually does have an additional one under here. Very rarely do I actually accidentally click on these mice over here, but with now an additional one over here, I actually feel like I'm going to have to just readjust my fingers a little bit, and it's going to have to just basically conform and get used to this mouse now. So here we have the software that actually is required to actually use this particular mouse. Not necessarily a requirement, but really to get the best out of it, and also to use the colors as I mentioned before. Very similar to the previous software, ROCCAT software that I was using for my other mouse. A couple of little options here, so start away from the beginning. One section here that I definitely use a lot is the DPI switching. So I can see a couple of options here I've already turned off. And of course you can actually control these settings through the little click mouse. And sometimes of course it just gives you a little bit of sound feedback. DPI up. But there is that option over here to turn that off. On the other software, sometimes that guy's voice was actually pretty loud, and occasionally you would get congratulations, you have unlocked a trophy kind of message, and that kind of spooked people out occasionally when just doing some random thing like browsing the internet or checking your mail. You can already see here, you can actually change some options here. Let me just go ahead and turn these back on. I'm going to just hit apply. And obviously, as I change through the DPI selection on the mouse, you'll see just moving the mouse slowly. Bring it down all the way to the bottom. You see the different options in DPI settings over here. The actual 2 numbers that I like to use myself is 800 and about 2800 DPI. So I usually just turn off the other options over here. You can actually just uncheck them if you don't want to basically go through all 5 selections there. Whoops, I'm actually stuck on that one, so that's why it's not checking. And there we go. Pretty good option. Some other options over here with your scroll, basically your scroll right over here. I actually don't really mess with those settings too much, but you do have the options over here. Of course, the scroll does the option to do a little left and right tilt, and you have that option there as well too. I also did turn off enable mouse acceleration, which basically, as you're moving this around, if you start to go a little faster, you'll notice that the DPI kind of increases on its own a little bit. So when I'm moving this way, if I move faster, it basically just jumps ahead almost like a rocket. I actually like the speed to be consistent, so I just basically turn that particular option off. Again, you can always definitely play with it. They even have this little trail option over here. Pretty funky, but kind of reminds me of the old Windows 95 settings there. So won't be needing that. Button assignment, as I mentioned, you can definitely customize a lot of stuff over here. Presets, easy shift keys and whatnot to actually, if I'm actually going to play VLC here, play a movie or watch a TV show, you can actually control play, stop, and whatnot. Next track with your mouse. Not something I'm going to be doing too much anyway. I just use the little control keys on the bottom anyway. So over here, some advanced settings. Polling rate, obviously that sound feedback that I mentioned earlier, but I won't be using that whatsoever. I don't think many of you will be, to be honest. I don't think I really need this thing telling me, oh, DPI, etc. You can also reset your mouse settings back to normal here, and some other options here for calibration, which I've not actually messed with, but might be useful at some point as well too. And of course, the particular option that I was blabbing about earlier that this mouse definitely does have is the illumination. So you can actually go ahead and click here, and under here you can actually choose which option you want. One of the more popular ones is breathing, which is basically what it's doing right now. Turns on, comes right back off, and etc, etc. So I went ahead and clicked on breathing, and I lowered the speed down to the lowest. And this is basically a little sample of what you'll actually be seeing. Went ahead into theme and actually clicked out this particular one and changed out the blue color. So definitely a lot of themes here that you can play with, and then just go ahead and manually change the colors. So very, very awesome. Some family members actually did customize the purple theme. Great, now I just changed back my own settings back to theme, but whatever. I didn't hit apply, so it's okay. Purple and green colors, that's actually what's popular colors that some family members might use. I'm just going to be using regular blue, so yeah, well, okay. So yeah, definitely a lot of options over here to be using with this particular mouse. Down here you do have some default settings for profiles. If I wanted to actually have this one set to blue with a bunch of DPI settings, or this one to red with a bunch more, you do have the option there. So definitely really useful software and non-intrusive with accounts. I can go ahead and just give you a quick example of what this mouse sounds like. Pretty solid clicks over here. Scroll. Feels kind of firm, but definitely smooth to move around. You don't have that feeling that there's something jammed underneath where you just kind of feels like pushing a car with a flat. Different click sound to this one. Interesting, kind of plays around with the color there for a moment, if you notice that. And is that what this box said? This thing is capable of doing 50 million clicks. That's actually quite a lot. I probably should exchange this mouse because I just wasted about 20 or 30 of them right here in this video. One little thing here, the logo does not turn on right over here. That's a little bit of a bummer. I actually would have mind doing that, but whatever. Again, RGB LED colors is not really for everybody. I'm okay with it, but I don't need to get all fancy. At first I was actually thinking this mouse was going to be a little too fancy, but no, it's actually working out to be just fine. So I definitely look forward to doing a couple of gaming on this, and I'll probably do a little follow-up video a couple of weeks, maybe in a month into using this mouse, and see how it plays with different games, advantages and disadvantages of using it. So far, I can totally see the advantages of it. Kind of excited to use this mouse. Sorry guys if I keep bringing this mouse all the way up to the lens, but just trying to give you a much deeper view. And there's your ROCCAT logo. I definitely have been using mice from another brand, which I'll leave unnamed at this time. And I've actually quit them because unfortunately I start getting the double click of death. Just one click and you get two. Not to mention that particular brand, unfortunately, now wants you to register an account and actually just to customize your mouse with colors or anything else, macros, clicks, whatever. You actually have to have an account and actually be actively signed in. So that's immediately a big turnoff. While you do need the software installed to actually manipulate the colors and whatnot here, it's absolutely not necessary. But if you do, it just has to be installed and active. But as for from what I've seen, using my Kone XTD right back there, non-intrusive software, and I don't see anything goofy popping up like an ad or anything else. Or of course, I even read in forums somewhere that this other brand sometimes even forgets your settings, so I can see the real bummer on that. Anyway, anyone have any questions, by all means, please let me know. Any comments on this mouse over here? Mice. I do have the very bad habit of referring to mice as mouses. So that's where that word came out. Whenever in the tech field, and I actually got some people into this goofy habit, anytime we refer to more than one mouse, I just say mouses. It's really mice, even though some people feel funny saying it, but yes, mice. You go to any electronics store, hey, I need to buy a mouse. Oh, come over here and look at our mice section. Well, not really, but you get the you get the gist there. Let me know if you have one of these. Shoot a like, subscribe, comment, please, by all means. Let me know. Some more reviews coming up. I know this mouse already has been out for some time now, but I wanted to actually just review since it's actually a new mouse I just came upon now personally will be using. And of course give some props to my Kone XTD mouse that I still use and I wish I can actually buy more of because it's still an amazing mouse. Take care! This is absolutely nuts. While actually just cleaning up my desk and ready for this video and looking through my drawers, look what I found here. This old wireless Logitech mouse that I got my hands on when I got my first laptop over 10 years ago. You even still have the receiver. It still works, but whoops, I hit the camera there. It very jumpy, a little common side effect of using wireless mice. So, and of course it's feeling a little sticky. Sometimes this material just begins to, for lack of a better word, rot. I actually do have some of my old mice too. My very first optical mouse was the blue Logitech mouse. It still had the little red light coming out from underneath. But I actually did find some more mice. This mouse over here belonged to a former coworker of mine from another job. You can see it's really dirty and beat up, but you might recognize this particular mouse. Definitely a winner, but double click of death issue. But there's actually some things you can do to get this little guy to work again. And of course, some everyday $9 comes free with your computer mice. Here's like a little HP one. Someone threw away, I believe, at one of my old jobs. And I believe this is a Dell or a Lenovo. Yep, little Dell mouse. So, yep, these are those little cheapy mice. So I'm actually using a crazy looking mouse like the one I just, oh, look at this junk over here. A mouse like I just reviewed or have been using. Definitely turn some heads right there. I'm actually going to fix this. Just watch me.